wake up, it's time to be free. Wake up, was blind, now I see. Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Welcome. It's Jullien Gordon, and I'm excited about another episode of the Daily Jules, where I drop nuggets of wisdom to help you increase your degrees of freedom. Doesn't matter how many college degrees you have. The only degree that really matters is your degree of freedom. It doesn't matter how much money you make. The most important thing is actually how you make money. Now, I believe the fastest path to emancipation and freedom is entrepreneurship. That is a road that I've taken, and I'm just committed to sharing everything I know about entrepreneurship to help you become as free as possible. We are living in an entrepreneur reality. I call it an entrepreneur reality, where we have to all realize, whether you're an employee or entrepreneur, that even employees are entrepreneurs. An employee is simply an entrepreneur with one big client, and that is their employer. And it is dangerous to only have one source of income, even if you're making a lot. So today I want to talk to you about the word entrepreneurship because it gets used loosely. People think that they buy a domain name, they think that they get some Vistaprint cards, and all of a sudden they're an entrepreneur. And I think that that is not true. And I want to share with you some levels of entrepreneurship that I think may be helpful to help you understand where you are on the entrepreneurial journey. So with that, I want to share with you this framework, and I just call it levels of business. Levels of business. Okay, cool. So the first level, if we stand in the awareness that we are all already entrepreneurs, the first level for most people is employee, right? Now, again, an employee is an entrepreneur. An employee is an entrepreneur. They just have one big client, okay? So that's the first level, and we need to work our way up. So again, my philosophy is that we're all already entrepreneurs. Now, the next stage that most people take from there is to employee plus side hustle. Employee plus side hustle, right? Now, this is a powerful step. You are saying, you know what, I'm not going to depend on my employer like a parent to support me and be responsible for my life. I am actually going to create for myself, even though I still need some stability here. And this is a valuable step. It's an important step. I believe that the first time you make a four-figure check outside the context of a job, that's when you actually start to become more free mentally. When the first time you get a check outside the context of a job, I think you start to become more free mentally. So I really focus on people doing that and helping people get there, okay? So from there is step 3, which is self-employed. Now, at this stage, most people, once they've left the corporate plantation and stepped into having their own business, at this step, most people start calling themselves an entrepreneur. And I beg to differ, because if you are not careful, you will find that instead of becoming an entrepreneur, you have actually just created a job for yourself. And that's what I fell victim of. I stepped out into what I thought was entrepreneurship, and I literally had only created a job for myself. And on top of that, I treated myself worse than any other employer or boss had ever treated me. And I became a workaholic as a result of this, okay? And so you have to be very careful to understand the difference between self-employed and entrepreneur. A lot of people just like to say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur now, but no, you're self-employed. You've created a job for yourself. And if you stop working, then no revenue will be coming into your company. If you stop working, no revenue will be coming into your company. So this is actually, in some cases, more dangerous than this. This is actually more dangerous than this. I encourage some people to stay here for a little bit, because by staying here just for a little bit to get your business systems up and actually prove that you have a business, now you're working 40-something hours for your employer. Hopefully you're still developing some skills. I like to call it a bridge job, which I'll talk about at another time. And what this forces you to do, because you're giving so much time to one client, it forces you to figure out how to build a side hustle that isn't time dependent. By staying here, it forces you, because you only have a certain amount of time in the morning and the evenings and the weekends, it forces you to figure out, how do I get this business to get started without it being solely dependent on my time, because a lot of my time and energy is here. So that now when you step here, you're not in the self-employed space that long, wearing every single hat in your business, right? Because you've actually done all the systematic, the back-end business. I talk about front-end business and back-end business. You've done all that work while you were in this stage. And this is how I approach it. I took a job after business school. I took a job for 18 months, 17 months actually. It was my bridge job, right? And I knew that by bridge job, I mean that I knew it was getting me to another place. It wasn't where I was going to end up. And because I started doing this kind of work, right? Because I started doing this kind of work and trying to build the business in a way that it wasn't dependent solely on my time, because I didn't have a lot of time, right? Because I was working for somebody else. Now, one thing I did do that I want to do a side note is, after I established a relationship with this employer, within, I think, 3 to 4 months, I changed my hours from 9 to 5 to 7 to 3. 6 to 2, I think. 9 to 5 to 6 to 2. And so I would get in the office 3 hours earlier than everyone else, right? And because nobody else was in the office, I was extremely productive. I was getting all the work that I needed to get done for this client. And then I was leaving bright and early, 2, 3 o'clock, right? And when people were just coming back from lunch, then I would go home, I'd rest, and then I would wake up, and my evening I would have to dedicate on my side hustle. Now notice, just because I changed my hours didn't mean my hours were less. I just changed my hours, right? And that actually led me to be more effective and build this faster. So this is the self-employed route. So from there, so you want to get out of self-employed as quickly as possible. You want to get out of self-employed as quickly as possible. From there, the next step is entrepreneurship. And I'm going to explain to you the difference between these. Entrepreneur, okay? So that's the next step. Now you're an entrepreneur once you no longer created a job, but you're actually in the mindset of creating jobs for other people, right? The best way to scale your company is likely going to be through people and processes. People and processes is going to be the best way to scale your company. And then finally, from there, even still, and I want you to start thinking about this level, even when you're here, from there, you want to move to 5, which is enterprise. I'm going to move to 5, which is enterprise. So I'm going to explain the difference between these right now. So all these actually determine a level of freedom. This is the lowest level of freedom, right? And this is the highest level of freedom. And I'm going to explain why, because here, everything is solely dependent on you and time. And what we want more than anything, even more than money, what we can't even buy with money is time. Now, once you've actually installed the right systems and processes into your business, then you actually do not need to be running this enterprise. You can run this enterprise if you choose to, and hopefully because you love it, but you don't have to. And that's where time freedom starts to come in. The more you go up this ladder, the more freedom you ultimately have. Because now you actually have to become a better leader. And the way I define a leader is somebody who creates more leaders. A leader is somebody who creates more leaders. Some of us are building our companies and we are afraid to delegate. We're afraid to hire. We're afraid to outsource, right? Because we don't think anybody else in the world can do the work as well as we can. And as a result, we're going to feel stuck in our business. We're going to feel very stuck in our business because I'm guilty of this too. I just hired 2 new people, and even some little minute tasks that I know a high schooler could do, sometimes I get afraid to just let it go and pass it on to someone else because I've been doing it so long because I was wearing so many hats in my business, okay? So let me tell you what each of these levels focuses on. The focus. You'll find that each different type of entrepreneur focuses differently, okay? So this type of entrepreneur, the employee, they focus on a paycheck. How am I getting paid and when am I getting paid, right? They focus on a paycheck. That's their primary focus. And can I increase my paycheck? And those are fine questions to ask, right? Now, this person, employee and side hustle, this person is focused on how do I create a product? They don't have time to actually do a service-based business in the way that they desire, or the next step that they want to, because most service-based businesses are going to want to, their most clients are going to want to be served between 9 to 5, right? But you're working for this client 9 to 5. And so a big thing here is focusing on a product. For me, this was the 8 Cylinders of Success book, right? That was the product that I was focused on creating while I was here at this stage. So paycheck and then product. How do I grow this product to create enough revenue to actually support me in fully transitioning, right? And then from here, self-employed, this person, now that they've left the corporate plantation, they no longer have a job, their number one focus is prospects. Like I told you, my mentor told me when I was asking at the bottom of the recession how to grow my company, he said, get customers, get customers. So you wake up every single day and you know that you now have to go hunt for your own food. You're not going to get any rations from this client here, right? So now you're focused on prospects. Where can I find more revenue for my business? Who can I serve, right? You're thinking about a person, and I talked about this in another episode. So this is the focus of each type of person at the beginning of the day. Now, when you become an entrepreneur, you know now your company is no longer about you. This is where your focus is about people. Who you hire in terms of your company, who you contract, it's all about people. You'll find that if you surround yourself with the right people in your business and you hire the right people, then this is what's actually going to get it to scale and what's going to create more freedom for you. Okay, so paycheck, product, prospects, people, and then the enterprise. The enterprise focuses on processes. Processes. This kind of CEO is thinking differently than this kind of CEO. This CEO is thinking about processes. How can I make this business into a template so that I can scale it? This is where companies like Starbucks, Walmart, etc., they start franchising. They have a model that works. They've documented all their processes, how everything works, from the way they handle money, the way they handle people, the way they handle customers, the way they handle product, the way they handle returns. They've documented that process in such a way that they can now pass it on and give this blueprint to somebody else to go create it in another city, and then another city, and another city, right? This is where your business becomes franchisable. Now, you may look at your business right now and think, I can never franchise this thing. That's not the point. The point is thinking about how you create the right standard operating procedures in your business, the right processes in your business, so much so that if something were to happen to you, your business could still operate because you could hire someone because you have the blueprint laid out for them, okay? So these are the 5 levels of business. A lot of people use the word entrepreneur loosely. They get a domain name and some Vistaprint business cards and they think they're an entrepreneur, but most people actually jump into self-employed, and we want to get, you may have to go through self-employed, but you want to get to entrepreneur as quickly as possible. But even when you're entrepreneur, you want to be thinking about the next level, which is enterprise. So if you are down here right now, that's okay. Right? I'm not asking you to jump. You're not lower than because you're down here. I just want you to think about your business in the future with these levels in mind. Okay? So this is Jullien Gordon with another episode of the Daily Jules. I hope that this episode has blessed you. In the comments, let me know which stage you're at. Are you an employee? Are you employed with side hustle? Are you self-employed? Are you entrepreneur? Are you an enterprise? And wherever you are, always be seeking to get to the next level. All right. So with that, I believe in freedom for all, and I hope that this helps you increase your degrees of freedom. All right. Much love. Peace. I hope these mindsets, metaphors, and methodologies blessed you. If you desire more freedom, go to getfreenow.com to subscribe to the show on iTunes, YouTube, or Facebook, and get 4 of my best courses in the Freedom School for 100% free.